I only think this has happened once before with Izanagi's Burden, where I gave a very harsh review or kind of harsh opinion or failed to see the value in it, and then later on realized I was very incorrect and I absolutely loved it. Well, I guess this is another one of those scenarios. I think this is only the second time I've ever had this kind of experience, and now it's with Sunshot. I made a few videos in the past saying I don't know how to feel about Sunshot, and then before the buff, the problem with Sunshot. I've kind of given this hand cannon a hard time, and funny enough, however, I tried it out recently and I've actually been committing to using Sunshot as my main hand cannon, and honestly I've actually really been enjoying it the more and more that I use it. I guess you could say I finally know how I feel about Sunshot. Alright, yeah, that's enough of that, I'm sorry. But you guys might be wondering, in all actuality, why did I take out Sunshot? Why did I decide to use it? Well, in this sun-setting world we now live in, with many go-to hand cannons, especially 150 RPM hand cannons, kind of being sunset. Of course, yes, you can still use them in quick play, but because of that, I decided to take out Sunshot because I believe it's the only energy 150 RPM hand cannon that is going to be sticking around. And well, previously I do use a 150 RPM hand cannon in the energy slot, and that's not forgotten. It's my favorite hand cannon in the entire game, and unfortunately that's being sunset, so I need a replacement for that. And as I've used Sunshot, I've realized more and more the value in it, but also how almost similar it is to Not Forgotten in a way. Now, I know you might be wondering, or you could make the argument, that there are other kinetic 150 RPM hand cannons that are sticking around, like Dire Promise, that I actually have a very good roll of, and why wouldn't I just use that? If I'm going to use a traditional hand cannon, aka Not Forgotten, why wouldn't I just use that? Well, again, originally I took out Sunshot just to entertain the thought of using it as my energy replacement, and started really enjoying it. I've always seen a lot of value in Sunshot's insanely massive stat package and pool that it has, and I'll talk about that more in a moment. But other than that, I'm also trying to stick to exotic hand cannons. Reason being, and exotic primaries in general, and reason being is because of sunsetting again. Exotic weapons aren't being sunset, so any mastery or that kind of synergy and attachment that you gain to that weapon, you don't have to really worry about it, at least at this point in time, going away in any way, because you'll always have it. You don't have to worry about that, and I think that's really valuable. So in terms of the kinetic slot, I'm thinking that Ace is going to be my main, and the energy slot, Sunshot, will be my main, and I'll make a video on all my main weapons I'm thinking of that I'll be probably using going forward into an active sunsetting world in Destiny 2, but that's for another video. I guess the first thing to address with Sunshot is its shortcoming. Why didn't I like it originally? And that's probably because of its low aim assist stat. It has a 60 aim assist stat that is very much lower than other 150 RPM hand cannons. Other 150 RPM hand cannons or lightweight hand cannons tend to have, I want to say, at least 80, high 80 to 90 aim assist, and that's without any sort of targeting perks. They can get up to 100 no problem. That's way lower than Sunshot, which probably tops out at around 70 aim assists with an enhanced hand cannon targeting mod. I know some people attribute this to the whole explosive rounds weird feeling, but I really think that's something that you just kind of get used to, that you're probably not used to. Otherwise, I'm not afraid to admit that Sunshot didn't suck, I just sucked. And when you're getting ghost bullets with this gun, it's probably not ghost bullets, it's probably that you're just missing. Let's be real to ourselves. I'm willing to be real and just say I was probably just spam firing and used to much easier hand cannons or more forgiving hand cannons. And with Sunshot, if you're not properly lining up your shots and spam firing, it's probably not gonna fly. I feel like that's such a small cost for what's otherwise a very spectacular hand cannon. Because honestly, when I actually took care of my shots, I was timing my shots correctly. I wasn't spam firing, trying to just output max rate of fire all the time. I was shooting with the intention of landing my shots and watching my dot reticle and lining it up correctly and developing that muscle memory with Sunshot to pull down and counter recoil or flick correctly, and it felt really good once I did that. I wasn't just mindlessly spamming or trying to hit max rate of fire all the time or panicking in gunfights. Sunshot truly does represent, I think, the best of a hand cannon in the skill that it takes to use, which is staying calm, controlling the recoil, and just watching as your shots line up and developing that rhythm with it. And I promise you, once you get good with that on Sunshot, you go back to another hand cannon and you're just going to be flying. you will be so good with it, because that's how I feel after using Sunshot and getting really good with it, which has been really satisfying. But let's talk about why Sunshot is really good though now. So firstly, it has high range. It has a 74 range stat. Oddly enough, this actually is the same range stat as the Not Forgotten, which is really great. So it's something I'm used to, and it's something that I'm accustomed to, and I like that a lot. And that's good for a few things. That of course hits the 28 meter range cap on hand cannons currently, so that's great. It has a 29 meter 3-tap range, and that's having to hit 43 damage with the yellow numbers that appear from the explosive rounds. As long as you're hitting like 43 yellow, you're usually going to get a 3-tap. But the high range stat, more importantly than the damage output at range, improves the accuracy on the weapon. Of course, higher range stat means you have a tighter accuracy cone, which means you're going to have less bloom. It really does help the weapon, and that sets it apart from other hand cannons to me, especially 150 RPM hand cannons, because I don't think there's another 150 that has quite this high range. Like actually this high of a range stat, not damage output at range. Other than Not Forgotten, again, which was a precision archetype and inherently had higher accuracy. So again, Sunshot, Not Forgotten, a little bit more similar than I thought. Of course, the higher range also means better aim assist at range and like less aim assist fall off. So even though you're getting less overall aim assist, the high range probably keeps it more persistent across farther distances, which plays perfectly into this weapon because it has explosive rounds, and that's the next best quality about this weapon. Explosive rounds makes it so a portion of the damage you deal is always consistently the same. So that actually increases your damage floor from 23 crit and 14 body with other 150 hand cannons to 37 critical damage and 28 body damage as the lowest possible damage you can do with a hand cannon, and I believe that starts at 39 meters for Sunshot. Explosive rounds gives Sunshot a 34 meter 4-tap range and a 39 meter 5-tap range. I decided to take Sunshot's critical damage and compare it to that of the Jack Queen King's critical damage. This is a max range 68 range to Jack Queen King, and take a look at these shots to kill in an optimal scenario at these different ranges and see how explosive rounds actually impacts Sunshot and makes it perform better. To be clear, I used Jack Queen King with max range because I wanted the most vanilla option possible to compare to, the most kind of normalized option that we could get. If you have a rangefinder hand cannon or 150 hand cannon with rangefinder, you're gonna have closer results than this. But if you have a low range hand cannon without rangefinder, you're gonna have a bigger gap where Sunshot is more effective. Then if you have a low range hand cannon with rangefinder, you're probably gonna have something maybe comparable, but I'm not too certain. My point is there's a lot of different things and crazy options to compare here. This is just to show you some of the value of what explosive rounds is doing. So I showed the optimal shots to kill in terms of critical hits and body hits against a predicted 4 resilience. Some of these might be a tiny bit off here or there because I did it purely with numbers and not in-game testing, and we all know how the rounding works in game, so these are just examples. They might not be super exact, but I did also try and compile the damage total for the optimal shots to kill. You can see in the brackets there. So for example, at 30 meters, they're both a 2 crit 2 body, but Sunshot deals 200 damage total with its 2 crit 2 body kill versus that of the Jack Queen King, which was dealing 192. That means there's a resilience that 192 would not be able to get that 2 crit 2 body and would become a 3 crit 1 body. So yes, different resilience levels really affects this comparison a lot as well. So again, loose examples just to show the effectiveness of explosive rounds. The biggest thing to notice here on this chart though is that Sunshot consistently requires less headshots at range than the Jack Queen King, making it a more forgiving option at range and giving it better range performance. Let's say as an example, at 36 meters, you'd only have to hit 3 critical hits and 2 body shots versus the 4 critical hits and 1 body shot that Jack Queen King would barely just be killing on the dot against an estimated 4 resilience. In some cases though, you even have just a flat out better time to kill. At 38 and 39 meters, it's 1 shot less to kill with Sunshot than it is with Jack Queen King. I think the 35 meter range is the most applicable though. I think 35, maybe 36 meters is like the longest range someone will challenge with a hand cannon now since the range nerfs. And again, Sunshot really does show its worth in that. 2 crit 3 body for 199 damage versus the Jack Queen King's 4 crit 1 body. That's a staggering difference in the amount of headshots needed to kill. And again, Jack Queen King's only doing 194 total. Also from my testing, I actually believe I didn't put it on the chart here, but at 34 meters, Sunshot was able to get a 4 tap, whereas Jack Queen King was not able to get a 4 tap. So that's actually a shot difference in TTK. So 34, 35 meters onwards, Sunshot just seems like the better option, really being able to compete better than other hand cannons at range because of those explosive rounds. And you pair those explosive rounds and that range performance with the high range of the Sunshot to give it that nice tight accuracy cone to make sure it's still pinpoint at range, and you get some pretty sick range performance on a hand cannon. It's pretty awesome and really consistent, and it's a great quality. Not to mention the other benefits of explosive rounds. We're kind of in a sniper oppressive meta right now, and explosive rounds deal more flinch. So why wouldn't you want that? Try to at least flinch the snipers a bit, or even just give your opponent hell in a one-on-one primary gunfight. It's awesome that you can do that. And you can actually also shoot the floor near targets to make them blow up or get the kill. And that's kind of good against 3-peakers. I know this sounds like a meme. I used to actually think Cam was memeing when he said this. He would always use his spare rations to do this, and I'm like, Cam, you gotta give it a rest, man. That is like super niche, but honestly with Sunshot, like, not even joking, it comes up more than you think, where someone's running away from me and I'm literally just aimlessly hip firing the ground and I get the kill and they just explode, and it's hilarious. So yeah, explosive rounds kind of have a really nice matchup against the current meta and like tendencies of players. We're not even done yet though, because we haven't talked about the stability. The stability on Sunshot is relatively high. It's not super high, but it's 68, which is pretty good. I would say you want at least 68 stability on a 150 hand cannon. That's always been the value, the minimum value to me that feels really great on the 150 RPM hand cannons. And well, Sunshot's got it. It not only has the range performance, it's got the stability to be usable on something like a controller where the hand cannon recoil is pretty high. So that's really awesome. It also has really manageable recoil with a 100 recoil direction stat. So overall, this thing is really consistent. We also can't forget that high stability means it's going to keep our aim assist cone more persistent. It's not going to shrink as much after we fire persistently and continuously in gunfights. So the high stability is going to allow us to keep our rather low aim assist more persistent at its peak more often. That high range and high stability is going to affect the aim assist and accuracy cones quite a bit, that make this weapon feel very consistent. And it makes me think in my head that, like, is there some scenario where Sunshot actually has, despite a lower starting aim assist, does it actually have a better aim assist stat later into a gunfight than other 150 RPM hand cannons because of that combination of range and stability? Like maybe at like 30-ish meters or like 30 to 35 meters and late into the gunfight, is it possible that Sunshot actually just has better accuracy and better aim assist than other 150 hand cannons because they don't have as high stability or range? It's hard to tell. I don't think we can ever quantify that, but it's a thought that went through my head, you know? Lastly, Sunshot has really high handling and really high reload speed. So that means you're going to get pretty much immediate swap speed, and that combos so well with quick draw or high handling weapons, so you get the fastest swap speed possible between the two weapons, because swap speed takes into consideration two weapons, right? Two weapons handling stat, the stow speed of one and the draw speed of the other. And when you have high handling like on Sunshot, you combine that with a quick draw shotgun, you might actually be swapping faster than someone else with a low handling hand cannon and a quick draw shotgun. The high reload's awesome, of course, because it gives you more uptime over the course of a game and eliminates any sort of need for enhanced hand cannon loader mods at all, so you can allocate those mod slots to something else. This hand cannon's got pretty much everything. It's got great range performance, it's got explosive rounds, which just has such a good matchup against the current meta. It has good recoil and stability, it's got high handling for swapping, it's got so much. And the only downside is low aim assist, where you just got to be real to yourself and just say, I'm missing shots and got to take more time with my shots and really focus to get in that rhythm. But when you master it, holy, does this thing feel so satisfying and so good, especially in this meta. I very much recommend trying it, even if you're just using it to train and like get better with hand cannons. Then you go back to your main hand cannon and be like, damn, this is a walk in the park. I know I've gotten a bit excited and hyped while ranting about Sunshot, but this is the end of my rant. That's pretty much my whole rant about why I originally just sucked with Sunshot. Sunshot did not suck, I just did. And now that I've really gotten used to it and developed competency with it, man, do I love it. And like I said, it's satisfying. I feel like a better player for it, so I really suggest trying it out. And this is the part of the video where I'm going to plug my other stuff, like my Twitch. If you'd like to see more of my content, you can check me out there. If you want to talk Destiny with me, come by. We can have some good conversations, I hope. Twitch.tv/Drewskys. Links in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.